Segretario.
Hello.
Thanks for being here on the podcast.
Happy to be here.
So I want to just dive in. Can you give just a brief background?
Well, I guess let's start at the beginning. So I grew up here in Marion. I met you in middle school through theater scene that your mom would cooperate, and we became friends. We even formed a little band in middle school, and that continued in various nascent versions through high school. And then we both moved away when we became adults, and then now we're back here somehow. A very divergent path, but back here.
And now we're back.
Yeah.
Doing similar things. I want to dive into a lot of that and sort of how we ended up here. We met. Yeah, it was I think like 2006 or 7 or something.
I remember it was Cats.
Cats, the musical, at Art Starts, and I remember that was when I first heard about you, and as a performer, everybody was like, "Oh, if there was somebody that wasn't there at practice, like you would do all the parts."
Yeah, I was the understudy for all characters, jokingly but kind of seriously. 'Cause I mean, it's such a big cast of people. I remember all the Art Start shows were just huge casts. I don't know if they're still like that. I haven't been to a show in years, but it's just like 1,000 kids in a show, and you just never knew it was going to happen with that many people. So I was like, yeah, I guess I'll just be prepared to do everything.
Yeah.
Also, it's an outlet for my childhood ADHD, which I still have, but adult now.
Right. Now we're adults, but we're still, still basically who
that
we
will
were
rear its ugly
back then.
head in this podcast, I'm sure. Here I already am cutting you off.
It will be revealed. Yeah. I remember the Rum Tum Tugger. I remember that one. I remember you performing that, and that's sort of, we just sort of met through that.
Yeah.
But you had moved from Florida originally, right?
Yeah, that's where I was born. And when I was, I had just turned 11, I think. I had just turned 11, and it was just a few days after my 11th birthday, we moved to Marion. And so I became a Midwestern boy. And then, I was there throughout high school. And then I moved to Chicago, where I lived for 7 years, and then when the pandemic hit, that's when I came back here. Everything was just kind of crazy in Chicago. I needed some room to breathe, and this is the perfect place for that. And luckily, you had come down and were trying to start something up, and I was trying to have something to do with everything with the pandemic shutting everything down. It was hard to find an outlet, and so this seemed like a good opportunity to not only have an outlet for expression and activity, but also be around people who like-minded that want to do the same thing, artists, and we were also, before this, I think I was still living in Chicago but visiting, but we did the Wingtips music videos with you.
Right.
We shot 3 videos, and we put out 2 of them.
Right. We shot one at the Civic Center, but the one we did Deaf Pursuit in 2019.
Yeah,
I think it was was it December of 2019 that Deaf Pursuit?
No, that would have been
earlier.
That would have been the December of 2018. Because I remember it was cold outside, and
it was winter.
We did all those outdoor scenes
in December.
Well, we sat in the car with a monitor, and you were flying around the
It was a cornfield.
Yeah, you were flying around the what is it? The thing that the
drone.
The drone.
Yeah, flying the drone on the cornfield.
How can I forget?
And we had I want to get
little things like that
into that video too, and some of the places that you've been featured. So I want to sort of give you a shout out. From that early time. You're one of the most creative people. I've an awesome performer that I've had the privilege to know. And you're an innovator with your art, and it's been, we've been connected for a while, and it's I don't know, it's cool to see, you're doing your thing, in the music, and I want to stay with the music. So when you went to Chicago, you had Wingtips, for a while. Before that, just kind of playing in different bands.
Yeah. So
right?
whenever I first started doing my own music, I was doing experimental electronic. Not really any specific style, but it was very chiptune-y synthesizer pop.
I remember that.
It was just very really rudimentary, just fun, wacky music. Like I feel like there was a point where I was just more trying to just make people laugh and dance, and then intrigue people. It was just a kind of, there's a lot of absurdist elements to it. But I had started just calling it Wingtips after a couple a project that I did a couple tracks with who you might remember, Kyle Kreider. We just for fun made a little EP and called it Wingtips, but we had no plans to do anything. We had no shows, or we were just trying to make music. But I really liked the name, and so I carried that over, and here I am today using the same name, named after the shoes that I was wearing that day, because we were trying to come up with a name for the project. I'm wearing Wingtips. Like, oh, that's some nice Wingtips you got there. We should name the band that.
Nice.
Yeah. Again, tying
Boat
into that.
shoes.
Again, tying into that absurdist element. So I had been doing stuff on my own for a while. And when I moved to Chicago for school, I kept doing it, and I still, at that time, I was studying theater, and silly me, I thought this is the theater. I'm gonna do theater as a career. And it ended up just slowly not really. I just slowly started realizing it just wasn't working out for me.
Right. It's a hard career.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pursue, and there's a lot, music theater.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements I don't care to get into so much about, why I don't like theater, and why because at the end of the day, I love theater, but I think
Absolutely.
that there are certain aspects of it that are really toxic, and just in the end, the reality started sinking in about do I want to pursue this realistically? Was this just a scholastic endeavor? Or I just really wanted to do this for fun? And so I was like, maybe I could just make it as a musician. Same thing, kind of. But I'm still doing it, and I started. I met Hannah at theater school, and so I started just kind of just integrating her into what she was also kind of in the same kind of over it with the theater scene, and studying at a theater school. She's kind of over it, but she still wanted to perform, and so did I. I think that that's the root that kept me going. It's I want to be a performer, and I really enjoy doing it. But I feel like the structure of being a musician, doing your own thing, is more accommodating to what I get satisfaction out of. I don't know. And I think it's the same for Hannah too. But we started doing stuff together, and there's a long time where we were still trying to figure out what we were doing. A lot of the music where it was still all over the place. We're really proud of everything we do, but there's a time where we're really trying to find our sound and find our crowd. A lot
of experimenting.
Yeah, and so it got to a point where we started playing a lot in the underground dark alternative scene in Chicago, playing opening up for dark wave bands and stuff. It's just we just sifted into that somehow. People that heard us locally that were in these scenes just started to follow us, and so it was just kind of a natural progression that we went that route. And I wouldn't say that we are a goth band, but that's really a huge chunk of our crowd, and we love goth. and and
Yeah.
it's a and here we are today on our second album, second studio album, and yet still a lot of the elements that we've had from the beginning still present, but we're always trying to find a more solidified version of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess just outdo ourselves every time. But
Yeah, I think if I know, you'll keep finding ways to innovate your sound, innovate your performance, innovate your art form. I think so. I'm excited for what you're going to be putting out. I'm really, big fan of the music you put out. It's exciting to see. So keep doing that.
Thank you. I'll try my hardest.
That's good. Well, it takes a lot. It is a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating at times for a plethora of reasons. But you really have to weigh your financial pressures versus your passions and what you believe you can do and how you can make it work, and also altering whatever you're doing to fit your lifestyle. Over the course of being in studios for our first EP came out in 2016, I think, and that was the first thing we ever done in a studio. And so since then, I've just been in studios and kind of absorbing what's going on.
And what was the title of that EP?
Gray Area.
Gray Area.
And I've just been absorbing what was going on, what the engineers were doing, and asking questions and just trying to make it a learning experience too. And so
this was a studio in Chicago that you guys recorded this at?
Yeah. So we recorded the first EP in a studio, and then we did the next two albums. Well, we did the next album, the first Exposure Therapy, in a studio in Chicago.
And what year was that?
That was released in 2019. That's the Red album. And then Cutting Room Floor, which is our recent album, we recorded all here in this very room. And but leading up to how we got there, I had just been absorbing and trying to learn what was going on, how productions were being created and how things are made to sound good, how you sonically alter a track, a single track, to make it sound like a song, basically. Because that was all just completely foreign to me. I had no idea what I was doing when I was just doing it all myself, and I was just a complete novice. But it got to a point where I would just be taking whatever I could in, and then come this most recent album, almost all the production is just what I did on my own, and in terms of mixing and I
want to talk about that new album, but I want to, in the process here recording, right? So you took some of those elements that you learned and just sort of just went in and just did it yourself, right?
Yeah. So I knew that when the second album came out, I really wanted to try to do it mostly myself. And then I sent the entire project off to Brian Fox, who did our previous album in Chicago, for him to kind of clean up, work on, just have a more skilled ear and a technical approach to it. Because, and to a large degree, it's stuff that I still lack, or I was still lacking whenever I mixed this. But I got it to a point where it's this is pretty much how I want it to sound, but help me clean this up, if you see things.
Polish that final 10%.
Exactly. Yeah. Because the way I hear things versus how other people might hear it, and I think this goes for everybody, the way one person hears something versus how the rest of the world hears it, or how you hear it in one building versus another building, your car, your headphones, it's all different. And I think it really helps to have others to help you cross-reference it, And,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Be able to have that feedback, those people you can trust with, giving you that honest feedback. That's so important in the creative process.
Yeah.
And being open to that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So let's talk about Death Pursuit before we jump into the new album a little bit more and the first studio record. So
Okay.
you guys signed with a record company.
Yeah.
Right?
So our first and most recent record was through Artifact Records, a Canadian-based alternative label. I really like a lot of the bands. I liked a lot of the bands that they had already signed and were working with prior to, namely bands like Actors, Kayla and Mikla, and I was really drawn to the label, and it was a complete strike of luck, I suppose, because anyone that does their own shopping for your music and you try to find people to sign you or whatever, or anyone to just to gauge interest, you realize it's like 97% no's or no reply. But we got a reply right back, and they were very interested, and then we did our first 2 albums with them.
First 2 albums, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's a process that I know nothing about it, personally.
I still know nothing about it.
Right. The record, but we did shoot some videos for that album. I think you said it was two tracks on that first album we did videos for.
Mm-hmm.
And we released Death Pursuit. That's kind of the main.
That was the lead single, and we shot that at the end of 2018. Over the course of, did we shoot it all in one day? Yeah, we shot it starting in the morning, and then we did that all in one day.
Wow.
And
did we really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we were just run and gun filmmaking at the peak. We had that loose storyline.
Yeah, my big thing with that, I remember, was I'm a huge horror movie nerd, and I really wanted to kind of morph 2 of my favorite horror films. I wanted to be like kind of like a mix of Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and so yeah, we just had a kind of loose, abstract storyline in various dystopian settings and the
dream sequences.
Yeah.
The chase.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Haunting over. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to Matt Zidek, who was the featured performer or artist in that video.
Total trooper. Really just down to do anything. Was really, really stoked to work with him. I had never really been around him that much because we went to high school with him too.
Yes, we did.
And but I had never really been around him before that. Before we shot that, but he was just down for anything.
Right.
And we were just like, all right, we need you to, while we sit in this comfy, cozy car, and while we're just watching you on a monitor, we're gonna have you run through the freezing cold in a cornfield. Well, it was all harvested corn, but so.
And he did.
You can have you run for. Probably ran a total of like 5 miles.
He was just running. We're like running through the cornfield. We got to keep running, keep going. And yeah, that was the footage turned out pretty good though for that. Those drone shots in the cornfield.
I really like the progression of that music video.
Yeah.
And it just kind of keeps building, and then it even though it is abstract and it is a lot about the picture itself, I do feel there is you still get a strong. I still feel like a strong story arc vibe from it.
Sure. No, yeah.
So good job on that.
Oh yeah, thanks. I remember we had an edit. We went to your house, sort of threw it on a TV, and we sort of pieced it together. Once we got all the footage we knew we shot, and then just the story came, even more so in the edit as always. So that was exciting. And I know that's been shown kind of like all over.
Yeah, I'll see randomly like on Instagram like DJ nights or whatever that have video. They'll just be playing that video. I saw the other day in Tampa at this big nightclub. There was a bunch of people dancing to it. Oh,
That's pretty cool.
it's funny to see Matt doing his thing, and then it's just goth people everywhere.
He's like, where am I? Oh,
Yeah, it's really I think one thing that's really cool about coming back here and bringing the project kind of back to where I grew up and collaborating with people that I knew from childhood or teen years is like kind of seeing how they react to the stuff that we do now and how they are incorporating, how we can incorporate them. And it's just cool. It's almost like some people, like you would see it as like a foil. Like,
Yeah.
So, but it kind of works out in cool ways like that.
you've had some awesome moments. It's been fun. And it's been amazing to be a part of a bunch of those. So I'm looking forward to more of those coming. So yeah, maybe we'll fast forward. So the first album came out, and you guys did a couple of national tours. You guys have been everywhere.
Yeah, so
That first album.
Yes, so the first album came out and we did a tour. I can't really remember where.
I think it was West Coast, East
We
Coast.
started in the Midwest, then we made our way out west,
Mm-hmm.
and we did the West Coast.
It was a bunch of dates.
Yeah, and then I cannot for the life of me remember what happened after that.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
on that
sure.
tour.
Sure.
I want to say we went to Texas,
Yeah.
or we just went. I don't know, but I mean, I tour. Well, with the pandemic shutting everything down in 2020, that put paid to a lot of. All the tours that we were going to do that year. But we got back on it this past September. The first touring we had done in like close to 2 years. And that was 45 dates.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dates.
Actually, maybe more like 42 or 43 because a couple of them got canceled. But
Still-
still a lot of shows.
That is a lot. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that's, so talk about that a little. What was that like?
It was really intense. So we went out with, we went out with Twin Tribes, one of my favorite bands right now, one of the most exciting bands in this genre, and just the best people ever. They were like, how do I want to say this? They were planning a tour. This is the ADHD brain kicking in. They were planning a tour, and they knew that they wanted to have us come out, and we were fortunate enough to be out on it.
Was that Midwest? West? Was that sort of...
We started with them in Texas, and then we came up through the Southwest, went up the West Coast, and back down by way of like Portland through the Pacific Northwest, and coming back down, we played Seattle, Portland, and then we started to shoot across back to towards the east. We did Salt Lake City, and then the remaining 2 dates were canceled, COVID-related reasons.
Yeah. So you've toured like all over the country, the U.S. You guys have been toured internationally as well.
Yeah, I mean, until
Before COVID, obviously.
right. We played Canada a handful of times, and we have played a few shows in Mexico. That's it for the international thing right now, but this summer we're going to be doing Europe.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. We can talk about that. But before we do, can we... I wanted to ask a follow-up. So you've been across a lot of different cities across North America touring.
Mhm.
Is there a certain place or a certain city that stands out to like, oh, this is kind of, I was surprised that, whether it was a cool scene, or do you have any like favorite spots that you can remember from any of your tours that stand out?
There are a handful of cities that when we go there, we know that it's just going to be amazing. Like Minneapolis kind of stands out as the one city that when you go there, when you think about going to Minneapolis, and granted, we've played a few shows in Minneapolis that were busts, but every show recently has just been amazing. And now it's just like, that's in our heads. It's like, when we go there, it's like, it's on. Like, it's going to be an amazing time. That's kind of to a lot of people that would be unexpected. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, we're not in New York City." But New York has been kind of hard, but this most recent show we did there was really good. I would say, but other cities that surprise me, I'm not. I'm surprised everywhere we go for good reasons and bad reasons. Like, oh, the show is really unexpectedly good or really unexpectedly bad.
You see a lot of the country that way.
It is so, yeah. It's so divergent, and everything is just touring is. You just never know what's going to happen unless you're like a huge sellout act, or you just know you're going to get shows sold out every night or just packed. It's for up and coming bands. It's so hit or miss. But we've been hitting a lot, and touring recently has just been really great. And I like going to so many cities. It's just there's so many, like, it's such a big country, so many cool different. Every city's so different. And yeah, I love going pretty much everywhere. And crowd reactions are different everywhere, so it's all new and exciting pretty much everywhere we go.
Yeah, that's cool. It's good, you really getting out there, breaking into these different areas. That's, it could be hit or miss, or but that's how it's done. You put in the work, you put your music out there.
Mm-hmm.
You sell merch, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of the hustle, the artist's hustle, right?
Yes. Yeah, and you kind of, you are like a store in a way. You have a product, and it's shit to sell.
Yeah.
So
let's so Minneapolis, Chicago, obviously too. I've been to a few of your shows in Chicago at the Metro.
Yeah.
I know when you guys opened for Drab Majesty.
Yeah, that was at the Empty Bottle, and that was a cool show. That was
fun.
I think it was like one of the first sold out crowds that we played in front of.
I remember the line down the street as like people were waiting to get in.
Yeah, Drab Majesty were like pretty much at their peak of blowing up at that point. It was like they were the band in this genre. Everyone was talking about them. It was just like everywhere you went.
Shout out.
Yeah, Chicago's great.
So just playing different shows, when that first album came out. But then obviously COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe talk about that transition from living in Chicago for many years to transitioning back here during COVID. What was that like? Can you walk us through sort of that time?
Yeah, so we played the last Wingtips show in November of 2019. And it was just 4 months after that where everything
March
just completely shut down. Nobody knew at the time what was going on. And whenever things started to just, like, I remember the first thing I remember hearing about was South by Southwest is shut down because of coronavirus, and most people that I knew were like kind of laughing at that. They were like, "What? That's great," because nobody knew what the severity of this whole thing was. It's like
It was so unknown.
I didn't even know about that there was a virus until South by Southwest got shut down. Like,
right.
And so we just went through this period where nobody really knew what was going on. Bands are starting to cancel left and right. And I was just like, why are bands getting canceled? Like why is
Everything was shutting down.
Yeah. And mind you, this is before government restrictions and everything came into play.
The mask situation, vaccine. This is all brand new.
Yeah,
unprecedented water.
Well, even before the vaccine, it's
for
like
everybody.
like business shutdowns, like the no dine-in, like that whole gamut of the pandemic.
It was frightening.
This is still before them, when people like everything is still wide open. Nobody knows what's going on. People are buying toilet paper, hoarding toilet paper, and I'm just like. Do you get this thing like can you avoid this thing by wiping really well? Like what is going on? Nobody knows what's going on. It's a big joke basically, and we're like, fuck it, I guess all these bands are canceling. Cool, let's add shows. And then it just slowly started to seep in as things just rapidly just went downhill throughout March and April, and then we were like, this is serious. Like this is an actual thing.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Like, and everyone was out of tour, and everything was canceled. The businesses were shut down. It was ghost town everywhere. Just it seemed like the end of the world.
It was a scary time.
Yeah, it was definitely scary.
It was at that time, like I think in April. That sort of segues into, Union Street.
Yeah.
We did our first, amid that, we did our first stream on Wingtips. I think it was on Wingtips.
Yeah.
Facebook Live.
That was a Wingtips stream. And yeah, the Union Street Arts is a pandemic project. Like this came alive throughout the pandemic and kind of as a result of the pandemic. And it's kind of twisted to think about things this way, but it's like almost like I'm kind of, for a lot of reasons, glad the pandemic happened, because it allowed for a lot of things to take a shift, and it allowed for a lot of creative time, and it was just like a big reset button. I mean, and when I say I'm glad the pandemic happened, I'm not glad that coronavirus is a thing, and I'm not glad by any stretch of the imagination that people are have died, and that we are now faced like with a deadly disease. But the fact of what happened as a result of that is something that created other things that are positive.
Absolutely.
Granted, if I could turn back time, and be Cher and go back to 2019 and stop whoever ate that bat in China, I'd probably do it. I mean, just,
If only we could. If only we were Cher.
Yeah.
If only.
Yeah. Man, I love Cher. People ask me at shows, like, tell us about your influences. Tell us something. Well, Cher's really high up there.
She's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, what about Depeche Mode? What about Susie and the Banshees and The Cure? Yeah, but there's Cher.
Cher's more iconic, for sure. So we did that stream for Wingtips, and that was a direct result of COVID. Like you're saying, there have been things that have came out that have been positive. The way we sort of reacted. You've been a big part of that.
Yeah,
it was a good response from your fans.
Yeah, Well, the thing is, live streams became a thing as a result of the pandemic, and so people were able to get income, and people are still doing live streams. We're about to do one ourselves on Valentine's Day, and it was a good tool for people to keep performing, and if anything, like it kind of forced people to kind of learn how to dive into the AV front and like experiment with video and broadcasting, which I think is a really useful tool in music, and just kind of streamlining what you can do and like broadening your horizons as a project. But live streams, like, yeah, those are also a pandemic thing, and we did our first one, and then we did a second one, then we did a third one.
I remember
And
that
now
first
we've done a
one was
fourth.
on an iPhone.
Yeah.
You remember that? An iPad and an iPhone.
Oh, is that how we did the first one?
That is. I don't know if that one's still
Really?
out, but we did the first one, yeah, live on an iPhone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
That was.
It was very like, how do we do this? Like, this is so rudimentary. We were. I remember it almost didn't even work. Like, we almost got to it, and it was just
Right.
like, this isn't like we were missing this, that, and the other. But it came together, and we had something. And by the second one rolling around, it's like we kind of had our shit mostly together, and
Sort of felt like that theater moment of like you're about to go on stage, but like there's something that's disastrous happening
oh
backstage.
my god, oh my god, oh my god.
And your stomach's like, oh gosh, we're about to go on. We're not ready.
I remember the
But we always come through. The show must go on.
Yeah, and I remember the stream stopped at one point, which happens. Yeah, we were just like, guys have to kind of start over now. But
Restart.
yeah. But as time went on, you own the craft,
And then we sort of just kept doing that because it was, the response was well, and the response we, started doing different recordings. We had like different bands on.
yeah. So Union Street Arts started doing the Union Street sessions, and we were just trying to do like literally whatever we could. We did a mixology one. We did acoustic ones. We did ones with bands. We did like a craft, like an artisan's thing. Like we were trying to just yeah, because that's the thing. Bars were closed too, so we wanted to kind of
Right.
help out the community in a way and just see how we could get people involved, to be active.
Yeah, we wanted the show to keep going,
Yeah.
even amid the shutdown. It's like, well, we got to keep pursuing. It's a lifestyle choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to completely change. It's just the way,
Mm-hmm. Right.
pursuing that. I mean, so that
Yeah.
you were a huge part of that, Vinny, getting this project started. And we eventually had like different live audience. We did that. It's just grown since.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Whenever we were
yeah.
able to like finally open our doors to have live shows, and whenever throughout the shutdown we had nothing else to do, we were just kind of like building out this place and making it look cool. And so by the time people could actually come in, we were like, "Holy shit! You guys have this cool space. This used to be a church, or yeah."
It was a church, but right before.
Yeah. Is the baptismal still here? Yeah, the horse trough is over here.
It's still here.
The horse trough and the stage.
It's under the stage still.
Want to get in?
Yeah, if you want, jump in, save your soul.
Yeah, or lose it.
No, it was yeah. And so we've COVID's been crazy, but slowly but surely, we've been keep doing that, and that sort of segues us into cutting room floor and recording that album here. And maybe we can talk about that process.
Yeah, so we had some rough demos from even like back when we were living in Chicago years ago, that we brought out, and we're just kind of working through them a little bit at home. And then once we had enough ammo to make it into full length, we had enough writing material. We took it in here, and we used this room, and we just recorded everything. We had a big whiteboard up here just with all the songs, like notes and everything, and it was just like this was the room that we did it in.
This
And,
was the cutting room floor? Was this
yeah.
the floor?
Yeah, this is the cutting room floor actually. That's actually it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we did it all here. We did it. I think I started just working here every single day, like right at the new year, just like nonstop. And yeah, and by the end of it, I think we finished in like March or April, and yeah, and I guess to put it out, that's
Yeah.
But it was really interesting doing it in a, like, because before this, like we had recorded it with other people in a studio, with not really just letting them kind of take the reins, but just kind of having control, and like your footprint is pretty much on this mostly, like from how it sounds in the end. That was really interesting and new for us. But yeah, and I don't know where else to go.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. And
Yeah.
I think because we had worked in the space so much, and it was just like where I was used to my creative juices flowing at that time, and I was able to come here and like wake up, and that's something that I could never achieve like from having a home studio, because I just have the comfort of like a TV and a couch, and just slacking and procrastinating. And oh wait, I'm already at the studio. I don't have to get out of bed right now. But doing it here, it's like I set a strict schedule for myself, and like I got here at a certain time. I had a routine. And so I think if nothing else, it's like it's the album that kind of taught me how to take myself accountable and discipline myself, and just it's where I realized that I could create structure, and I can apply it to art. Because in the past, it's always been fun and games, and it's like, yeah, we'll do an album and it'll be fun. It'll be whatever. And so this is the one who's like, no, I'm gonna work hard, and I want to do it this way, and I want to do it in this place, and yeah, that's the experience of what it felt like doing it here.
That's inspiring, honestly, just hearing you talk about that, finding that creative, motivation, and pursuing, and, really stretching yourself to create, better art, better music, better, and that structure does help, having, pressures, it's like you make diamonds out of pressuring a rock.
Yeah, one thing though, that we really kind of tried not to do. I think we kind of succeeded in it after a while. Like, we have always been the victim to our own deadlines. We've always put this in at times unnecessary pressure on ourselves, like when we need to get it done by this time, and as a result, later on when you hear something back, it's like, oh, I could have done something better. That's all that's neither here nor there because when it's out, it's out. But in the end, we're really proud of everything we've done. But we really at this point we're like, we don't want to have any unnecessary deadline pressure. We just want to take as much time as we need with this, get it to how we want it, and but I wanted to combine that with having structure and having like self-discipline and but not having to like work towards a certain date or something. I wanted us to just really feel it out and do what made sense. Yeah.
And that's pretty interesting. Let's see. I want to grab the vinyl. We have the vinyl here in studio, actually.
Okay.
I want to grab this. Yeah, we can talk about this.
Let's do it.
Let's show the camera. Let's talk about this vinyl we have here, cutting room floor.
I'll just open it.
Just open it. Yeah, why don't we take a look at it?
Okay, so here's the album. Which camera is this? This one? Cutting room floor. Our first vinyl ever. We did the first album on CD only, but we might do it on vinyl one day. But yeah, our first vinyl ever, right here.
That's so cool.
First pressing.
That's like a dream come true almost.
It is kind of surreal just because we waited for it for so long to have a vinyl, and we never really did.
Yeah, this one's beautiful.
Yeah, we got a blue record.
Yeah,
and it sold out within the first few months of it being out.
Do you know how many were available?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like 500? I don't know. Something, I don't know. Could be totally wrong. But
that's a really cool, to take your music in the studio, something that, you start in your head, coming up with playing an instrument and putting out onto a physical vinyl.
Yeah.
Tangible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was it was definitely surreal, and it was just a matter of time. So many people were just like, when are you gonna get vinyl? Jeez, hurry up. Like and everyone else that we were touring with or playing shows with, or just pretty much every band that just had vinyl, and we just had CDs for the longest time, CDs and tapes, and shirts.
So how does that work? How do you, was that through the record label that they have printing connections, or how does that work?
You mean how does like vinyl production work and just anything? Yeah, the record label handles everything. They send everything to a pressing plant. Pressing plant will take like 50 years to produce one album. Literally, that's how long it's taking.
Slow production.
Slow. Like right now, vinyl is just like it's crazy to think how much it's slowed. People are taking forever, and
from the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I mean, and there are lulls too in any other time, but it's just crazy right now. But yeah, I think right now the delay is like, it would only make sense that it's because of the pandemic. Yeah, I've seen bands recently that had vinyl pre-orders start like over a year and a half ago, and then it was only supposed to be a couple months, and then a couple months turned into like 9 months, and then like, hey, pressing plant, are you gonna give us our album? And Yeah, we'll have it in the next couple months if we feel like it.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, so vinyl production's pretty crazy, and I think that's perhaps another reason why like CDs are really popular right now. Like people are just going the CD route, and I read some article somewhere that CD sales are up for the first time since like the 90s or something or whenever. Yeah.
And is this album's on CD as well?
CD and digital online streaming. It's everywhere. Yeah, so this is the first pressing, and we are going to be on our second pressing again whenever it happens.
Right. So another run of those. That'd be awesome.
Hopefully we'll have them by the time European tour gets going.
Wow.
And yeah, it's going to be a white vinyl this time.
Ooh, is that an exclusive? Is that known?
No, not yet.
Wow.
It's exclusive exclusive information right now.
Nice.
But hopefully we'll be able to announce it soon and get pre-orders going. Very excited about that. Really excited that it's all sold out and so many people are into it. And we used to not be able to sell a damn thing, but now we're slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. That's a part of it, right? Is this the business side of music? Selling booking shows, selling merch.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a business at the end of the day, but it's one of those things where it might be a job technically, but you enjoy doing it and you don't see it as a job. So not even feel like I'm at work.
That's living the dream.
Some days I feel like I'm at work. I'm like, oh God, I have to do all these, ship out all these vinyl. I have to pack them myself. I have to do this and that, and I have to keep up a shop.
Part of life.
Yeah, and I procrastinate so hard, and so sometimes it's just like a crawl for me to do the actual work. But getting better.
Good. With time. Let's shift gears a little. I want to just hear your perspective on the Southern Illinois music scene. Mm-hmm. Just as a whole, what sort of you're a big part of that. Been part of the scene. Seen the scene. What do you think? Can you speak on that a little?
One thing about this region in general, there's a huge handful of people that are transient, and things change all the time. There's new bands coming. There's new variations of bands, and things are changing a lot. But it's a lot. I'm really happy that it's still active, and I think that specifically in this area, I think the biggest outlet for live music and bands is Carbondale because of SIU, and I think that with it being the home of SIU, there's a necessity for a scene. And I think that some of the people and performers I've seen in this area over the years and just recently too, so talented.
A lot of talented people here.
Yeah. And obviously I'm an active touring musician, and I kind of see how things play out around, abroad, and I just think damn, it would be great if this band could get out of here and go do something somewhere else. And I mean, not permanently, but actually get out there because there's so much untapped talent here. That's kind of like a compliment and a critique, I would say. That I've met some of the most talented people, but there's something about it that it's I don't know. I think unless you, in any case, don't leave the confines of what you know, and what you're comfortable with, you can't really discover new things.
It's hard to get that perspective without actually doing it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you left, or we both left, and we did things elsewhere, and kind of created, and then we came back. And it's like, damn, it would be great to. I've met some of the most talented people here. It's insanely good, and like that's perhaps even like the beautiful thing about it too is something that is uniquely Southern Illinois and that just stays here, and it's like you can't get it anywhere else. So yeah, you could look at it as a critique, but also a just a big compliment, I would say. But I'm constantly impressed by everything in this region that I see, and I love it. And
You talked about the Carbondale music scene. My first introduction to that scene was with you.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Lost Cross.
Yeah.
I think a show at Lost Cross.
Yeah.
And, maybe you could talk a little bit about that, the DIY scene that's there.
So, yeah.
How that influenced.
Carbondale has a really strong history of DIY art, DIY music, live events. I mean, it's the home of Lost Cross, which is like ostensibly the oldest still active punk house in the world. Like,
wow.
I dare someone to contradict that. Yeah, since like 1986, still going, like has not stopped, has not been anything else. It's been Lost Cross. So that is kind of it's symbolic for the rest of the scene that's always been very strong in DIY community, and I think punk activism, and I think that it's fueled equally by young people as it is young people getting drunk and having a good reason or wanting a good reason to party, but young people that are motivated and want cool things to happen and want a sense of community, and it is party culture. But at the end of the day, it's punk, and it's happening. And I think definitely COVID slowed. It kind of tanked a lot of everything, including. But and so DIY spots have been a slow comeback. But I think Lost Cause had a show last night, and it was bands and live comedy. But it's still great to see that stuff's happening there. But again, I think that the community is it exists by necessity because there's nothing really else, outside of these mildly populated towns, Carbondale and Marion and this stretch of Southern Illinois. Outside of this, it's literally just nothing. It's corn and country, and there's a necessity to create something yourself, and you have enough people that do that, and that is inherently DIY. It's inherently punk.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it was that whole scene. It's just I've really expanded, my artistry, my point of view. Just being a part of that, being influenced by that.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned not a lot of people, like there's so many talented people around this area.
Yeah.
And, one of my goals is to highlight all the talent that's here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's sort of what we were doing when we were doing the live streams,
Mm-hmm.
just highlighting different stuff that we think is cool and trying to blow these things up. And, there hasn't been, maybe the resources or the infrastructure or the know-how for a lot of these places, you say, to even go on a tour to expose himself to the outside
Mm-hmm.
world,
Mm-hmm.
Online
Mm-hmm.
mostly.
Yeah, and
But we're trying to provide a platform for that.
yeah, that was like I think one of the big goals that we had going into this is wanting to have a wide range of exposure for a wide range of artists, and I think where am I trying to go with this? Yeah, I think you have your bar venues, and you have what do I want to say?
There's the bar venues, there's DIY.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also during the pandemic, we had nothing. And so we had to create something to keep the art scene going. And it was, it felt necessary. And we wanted to do something different as well. Not to be a bar. We decided that we didn't want to be a bar, but we wanted to have live music, and it was more about the art and what was going on here.
Well, we've recorded, hopefully we don't plan on stopping with what we're going to do when it comes to like the streaming or recording, broadcasting. We have a lot that we want to do for this area to help, showcase, highlight, to put out what we want. I think there's a lot more that we're going to do with that. And I'm excited, that we can, have that impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's really great to see the different things that are going on here. And I'm really excited to see how this spot and other spots around evolve, and how we get out of this thing, and what comes as a result.
Yeah,
I think it's like a big reset period, and you get a lot of chance to reevaluate things, and just have a different perspective getting out and proceeding with everything, and it's definitely applied to the way I approach art and writing and any other projects that I do. This pandemic has taught me so much, for better or for worse.
Yeah. Well, either way, life's gonna keep going on.
Yeah.
One way or the other. That's the direction. What's next, Vinny? What do you got? I know we have a live stream coming up. Right?
Yeah. So
what can people be looking out for?
So here's what we got in the pipeline. We have a live stream on Valentine's Day. And then
That'll be on Twitch.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be doing some announcements of
That'll be for Wingtips.
Yes, that'll be a Wingtips stream. We'll be doing some announcents for upcoming tours, like the European tour. We got some touring later on in the year. It's mainly just touring. And a lot of people may not know, but Hannah and I have another project called Visceral Anatomy, and we're finishing up an EP right now, and we're going to be putting that out sooner than later, and doing a tour on that as well. Mainly just touring as much as we can, while we can.
Definitely. Now's the time.
Yeah. If it makes sense, we're going to go for it. Because you never know when something crazy is just going to rock your world and kind of just throw you off track. Yeah. I think just the big thing we're doing is touring. Come see us live.
Nice. Yeah, the live show is great. You guys put on an awesome show. So be looking for some announcements. I guess people can follow your social.
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Wingtips the number 4 real. Wingtips 4 real. I think that's where we are on Facebook too. But if you just type in Wingtips, you'll probably find us. If you forget that. Let's see. Twitch. It's gonna be on. When is Valentine's Day? It's on a Monday. Yeah. So Monday night. You're not doing anything else. Tune into our Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Wingtips. And you can find out about the upcoming tours on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Wingtips for Real as well. And you can follow the label Artifact Records to catch up about the second pressings of the record and anything else that we have from the first 2 records. They're also a great label to just follow because they got a lot of amazing bands on the roster. And we're very fortunate to be in the company of everyone else that's on that label. I think that's about it.
Those are some good plugs. Follow. Be ready for tour announcements. So while I have you here on the podcast, Vinny, is there anything that you envision for Union Street? Is there anything that, you think we could be doing? What is your take on that?
I think that that the vision that we had from the get-go, having it be a multifaceted, multidisciplinary art outlet for the community, I think that still holds strong, and it's still the most important aspect to have to proceed by. And I think that you guys have done a very good job at engaging the community and being active, and I think just keep building it. And that's I envision just a continual growth of what's currently happening, because I think it's really great. And there's so many talented people on the team that have different approaches to how they do their art or their skill, and from a collaborative standpoint, it's really unique and really powerful. And so I think the team effort thing is really great too. And that's how I think that this place can continue to serve its purpose and be a strong figure in this local community.
Yeah, well, I appreciate those words.
Yeah,
it's always good to hear that outside perspective. So I value that feedback. So, and I'm hoping we can do a lot more fun stuff. We're gonna stay on the pursuit.
Yeah,
we're not. That's all I can say. There's more to come.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Always.
This place is too cool to not do cool stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing it. So, anything else, Vinny? Anything you want to add?
No.
Mention?
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Love to get your perspective to talk. I feel like we could just do this hours on end. We have a lot to talk about that we could talk about, right? Just so much stuff.
I can just ramble about literally anything.
But it's been good. We'll have to do this again. Just keep checking in. I'm gonna keep doing the podcast stuff, so hopefully we can just check in.
Yeah.
Yeah, another time.
Yeah, when we got more stuff coming up.
Yeah.
I'm back on.
We'll get it going. watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you, Vinny, for being here on the podcast. And yeah.